Welcome to another episode of Creators Corner. I'm your host, James Dale, and with me is the beautiful Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips. How are you?
I am good. This has been a long
time coming. Time coming, but
I'm excited.
all things good is worth the wait.
Amen.
So, Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips, Doctor of Education with a master's in clinical psychology, is on a global mission to break generational trauma while transforming families. Dr. Jackie is a best-selling author, midwife of purpose, and educator. She has over 30 years of experience in education, human services, counseling, and youth development.
Amen.
Dr. Jackie founded and developed Life Changers Consulting, LLC, doing business as the Life Changer Center, a healing center for teens and adults. The Life Changer Center is built on reposition framework which empowers clients to heal as they discover their voices and develop a roadmap towards their next version of themselves. The Life Changer Center provides individual and family therapy services. In addition, through her coverage to SOAR SEL curriculum, we partner with schools, communities, organization on a mission to decrease anxiety, depression amongst teens. Dr. Jackie has also established the Dream Big College, a nonprofit that empowers teen girls to discover, activate, and provide their voices to become ambassadors of change. The Girl Power Movement is a signature program of this organization. Dr. Jackie has published over 10 books. Some of them are here. 3 bestsellers, 7 anthologies. Dr. Jackie uses these anthologies to create pathways for her clients to become authors and develop their platform. So she's multifaceted.
Who is that person?
Dr. Jackie. So what motivated you to do all of these things?
Oh my goodness.
What was the day that you said, I am going to do community service?
Oh my goodness. I come from a background of higher education.
Okay.
And in higher education, I put 17 years. But what it's amazing the way God puts puzzle pieces in our lives. And I guess when we look at the word journey, the word journey exemplifies the different paths which leads to the greater good, which leads to the goal. So I think the biggest shift happened when I got phased out of my position in higher education.
Okay.
And in that shift, I started asking God, what's next? What's next? What's going to happen? And then that's when in 2015, I think, that's when I registered my business and I wrote my first book, which is not here, which is called... That's okay. It's called The Purpose Factor.
Okay.
And at that point, the word midwife of purpose came into being. And I'll tell you the different stages. Midwife of purpose came into being. And I was always motivating individuals. I was always empowering. And God said to me, you know what? You're going to help individuals move towards a path of purpose. And so as a midwife of purpose, what I'm able to do is that everything is within you. Like your gifts, your talents, some of it may have been uncovered or discovered or underneath. Your journey, your experiences, everything. And what I am able to do is look at all your puzzle pieces, look at your story, and let's mold it and shape it into something. Because a lot of us say, you know what, oh, I have cancer, I only exist in that cancer bubble. But you also have done X, Y, and Z. You've had experience working with children. And so maybe let's take that experience and let's package it together. And that's why I come as a midwife.
And people out there, just like Dr. Jackie says, don't allow your situation to limit you. Think outside the box. All of your creativity, all of your ambitions lives within you. And it takes individuals such as yourself to take it out and bring it forth. So I listened to what motivated you. Is everything that you do ordained and by God? Was it something that is faith-based, that you do what you do based on your faith?
So it is faith-based, but also too, I teach a class in Africa, and I was telling my clients, so it's called spiritual coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I also teach,
Mm-hmm.
and faith-based is where we know that the Spirit of God resides within us rather than it activates us.
Mm-hmm.
But God gives us the wisdom and the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And then He says, you know what, Jacqueline, He's going to position you in front of me. And it's up to me then to see exactly what is that alignment?
Mm-hmm.
What is that open door?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have done is that my connection with the Spirit, it empowers me, inspires me, and then I'm able to build and build and build and build and build.
Okay.
So it's really enhancing that connection with the Spirit, one, but also seeing the pathways, the connections, the closed doors, the open doors. That's what's going to take you to where He wants you to go.
Okay.
But I call it, I'm a woman who walks on water.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been looking at that and examining that, and that's what makes me different, I guess. It's not an easy walk. It's not an easy journey looking at the 7 years in business,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been a journey where I'm awakening and growing. And it's so interesting to see the different stages that He's taken me to now where I'm able to bring everything together.
And I think that is great, because what I heard is that you don't only help people grow, you grow as well.
Oh yes.
You know,
oh,
during
yes.
each consultation,
Oh,
is
yes,
you
yes.
find a little bit more of yourself that you can accomplish, you
Oh,
can do, that
yes,
you can
yes.
work within yourself, and it's going to help you
Yes,
benefit
yes.
your next client.
Exactly.
And that's a great thing. So a lot of people, when they're in higher places, they have their doctorate, they're professionals, they think that they're at the pinnacle and at the height of who they are supposed to be. No, God has a bigger plan for all of us, and we all have to be on a journey until we go into the hereafter, until we walk amongst the gods ourselves.
So let me just tell you a little bit about how the journey started. So as we look at the journey started with writing books.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my first anthology, which is Soaring into Greatness.
Okay.
So I wrote my first book, which is The Purpose Factor. Then I started writing Soaring into Greatness, where the Spirit said, you know what, you're going to talk to individuals
Mm-hmm.
and help them write their stories.
Mhm.
So I think we have, 15 people here right now? And I started helping individuals write their stories. So I wrote the first one. Then the next year, we wrote The Power of the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we wrote this one, and then we wrote that one.
And these are anthologies.
Yes, they all, if you look at the back of them,
Right.
they all have stories.
Okay.
But then in the process of doing that,
Okay.
I realized that a lot of healing needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where the healing component started. This one is individuals who've gone through cancer.
Okay.
And that's where the healing. So then I said, you know what? Let me work towards getting my licensure as a therapist,
Mhm.
but also to partner with therapists.
Mhm.
Because what I realize is that, yes, individuals want to tell their stories, but there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trauma. So that's where, when you look at my mission, is to break generational trauma. That's where that came through.
Mhm.
And it was by writing, by helping people write, to discover the power of their voice and to rewrite the narrative. So I started that process. Then I tied it now with therapy.
Mhm.
And what I did then was that I pulled back a little bit from the writing and really start establishing the therapy brand. In doing so, I realized a lot of the trauma starts in our youth.
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, you know what? This is a good time. Then let's be proactive. Let's be proactive and starting that conversation about giants in our lives, because a lot of adverse childhood conditions happen in childhood. And what happens is that, one, we may expose it,
Mm-hmm.
like do deviant behaviors,
Mhm.
or some girls may try to find love and do all different types of stuff, or it may go buried for years.
Lay dormant.
And then 11 years later, it's stated that it may surface. It's going to surface in your relationships.
Mhm.
It's going to surface in the way you trust other people.
Mhm.
Maybe your relationship with your mom or whatever. All those things come up. And that's what we talk about generational trauma. So I said, you know what? Let me be proactive and start that in our young people. So that's where the Courage to Soar comes in. Working with teens in school. So we are in several schools right now, really starting that conversation about the courage. And so now, the way I've laid my business, we have 3 pillars.
Mhm.
So the first pillar, which is pillar 1, which is the direct care.
Mhm.
For those who want right now that one-on-one therapy, so that's pillar one. We provide that support. So they can get in touch with us for the one-on-one to really help them move through that trauma. Pillar two is youth and teens. That's where we start the proactive work of going into the schools, starting that conversation. So we can break some of that conversation. And two, we can equip them with tools around emotional regulation, problem solving, relationship building. So if we start giving our teens to activate their warrior spirits, by the time they become adults, they'll be able to navigate life better. And the third part, which is pillar three is for those who are ready to really activate their voices and amplify their voices. And that's where I work with individuals who are ready to write their stories in a way, whether it's through an anthology or through our writer circle, where they're able to write their own book and become change makers.
As an individual, I can attest to the framework that you have, because I had childhood trauma. When I was 11, my dad passed away, and I didn't go to therapy. You know, I saw my older brother. We share same parents,
Right.
both mother and father, and I saw him. He wrote poetry, he wrote music, and it seemed therapeutic for him.
Yes.
So I wrote. You know, and
Nice.
it was great for me to get all of my emotions out on paper.
I love it.
And my story became something to where I had an avenue. If I felt down, if I felt depressed, I can just get a pen and a piece of paper and put all of my feelings down on paper. And what I gathered from doing so was whatever ailed me at the moment, it left me. It alleviated all of the stress, and it was on the paper. And if I wanted to refer back to it, I can read it years later. It didn't stay within me. You know, it didn't make me into a person who was angry. I didn't lash out on any way, because all of my traumas was laid out on paper. So if I needed to share that with somebody, anybody who had experience with that could help me. They could look at my work and say, "Oh, you went through this. This is a good way for you to deal with this trauma, right? And you can do this exercise to help you as well." So these things is great for people to deal with their trauma,
Yes.
deal with their issues, and not lash out socially, and it won't hinder you as
love it.
individuals
I love
to stop you from being the best version of yourself.
You know, oh God, you saying that just validates a direction God is sending me into. And even this morning, it echoed in my spirit. So I was always on a mission for women and girls. And the reason why, and the reason why I always say women and girls, is because you heal a woman, she transforms her family,
Yes.
and she changes her generation. Because we know women will stand behind our men. But for the past 2 months, God has been placing men in front of my life in terms of their stories, in terms of their poetries. And I've just been exposed to a genre of men. And now you're adding to it in terms of, I just launched one of a good friend of mine. He's been writing poetry for 20 years. And I said, you know what, let's amplify your voice. But in reading his poetry, I haven't got his book here. In reading his poetry, we actually did the book signing last week, Dimensions of Law, Leo Watson's. In reading his poetry, I'm amazed at the journey, that's not it, over the past 20 years of how the same way you said, you were able to write.
It helps.
And I was like, my God.
It helps.
And that is so powerful.
It helps.
You know, and it's amazing to hear another man saying exactly how he's able to recycle and flush out what comes through him.
You have to, and we have to not take ourselves too seriously, and we have to allow people to help us, because a lot of the trauma that we suffer from as men, I'm saying it from my perspective, is that we feel that letting people know our vulnerabilities makes us less of men. you know, and it doesn't make me less of a man to allow anybody else into my life and know my traumas, because it's not going to limit me to let you know what I've gone through, because it's not going to change the dynamic. My strength is not going to weaken me, and I'm not going to give you power over me to let you know my weakness, because I already dealt with that trauma already. You know, I made that weakness a strength, but we have to allow ourselves to be helped to get over this trauma, because if you don't, then you walk around with the proverbial thorn in your side, and you lash out on people not really knowing why you are lashing out on people.
And so that comes to one, you were able to find a mechanism. Your brother was able to find a mechanism. A lot of our men do not know, because culturally they weren't taught men don't cry. And so the interesting thing about this month, November, is Men's Health Month. But and then I would like, as we talk about Men's Health Month, a lot of our emotions sets our mindsets, and then that then turns internally into our bodies. So this morning the Spirit said to me, you need to do some men healing circles and really get men like you and other authors to really start talking about your poetry, to talk about the things that you'll write, and to be examples for men to see, you know what, there are ways and means I can release. You may not be poetic, and that's why I put journaling, or it may be dancing, it may be going by the river, but we want to teach men and women how to practice self-care, and that's the self-care I'm talking about. The self-care in terms of we already have a history of trauma, right? It stems from slavery, it stems from our childhood, it stems from the oppression going in, working, and everything that we go through. But how do we recycle that, what comes up at us weekly and daily? Because it compounds and compounds, and so we have to find a mechanism, and poetry did it for you. But I want us to intentionally find a way that we can recycle what comes through intentionally. That's what we call self-care.
Right.
You know, self-care is a way we really get through, and I like the word recycle our stress, our pain.
And it takes a community to raise a child. I know the adage is it takes a village, but you know, we are in a community. I want to send the message out there that it's not the buildings that is the village, it's the people that is the village. You know, so it takes a community to understand who is who. I grew up in the Bronx, and I was very blessed to grow up around different people from different walks of life, from different cultures. So I was able to experience other people in their good and their bad, and what makes them individuals. You know, and everybody took a part in the community, in raising the community. You know, in the summer times we had black parties. Everybody came together and they enjoyed the music and enjoyed the food from different cultures. You have Jamaican culture, you had the Trinidadian, you had a family from Bosnia, there was a family from Israel that was in our community, and everybody came up with their dish, and we shared our stories and our lives and our cultures and our musics together, and it brought a sense of oneness with our community. And I think in some communities, in some neighborhoods, they're not communities, and we need to do things like these events to bring the community back into our neighborhoods, you know, so we can relate to each other and get the traumas out, so it'll be a lot less victimization. There'll be a lot less people who don't empathize with somebody else's plight, a lot less crime, because people wouldn't have so much trauma because they talked about it.
Yes. And so what I'll do, I'll send you that information or that link. So once we have that cycle or the dates, we could plan an event where we could bring some men together. Let's talk. Let's, because I think by reading poetry, poems from men like you and my other friend Leo, they can see that, you know what, the struggles are real. They're very similar.
It's okay.
I've gone through some of the stuff that you've gone through, and then it creates a conversation. And that's what we want to create, spaces, safe spaces where men can conversate.
Yeah, we need that. So all of your books, self-help books?
Yes. So all of my books are books of stories, books of stories that where other people have developed strategies to move to the next best dimension. And so as I work with my authors, it's not a matter of just saying I'm going to spit my story out, but exactly what did you learn from them, and exactly what words of wisdom can you pass on to somebody who's going through the same situation. So it's all a matter of it's a process called alchemy I use, and it's a healing process. When we talk about the alchemist was on a journey to find something outside of himself. And sometimes in life we try to find something outside of himself, and it goes back to the midwife thing. It's inside of you. And then you understand the power of, I'm going to go biblical, why Pharaoh came to chase you out. And you're like, you know what? I'm happy I went out because a yes, I'm on the other side of my yes. But if I didn't go through that situation, where would I be right now?
Right, and it strengthens you.
Exactly. So what I help my authors do is to understand. I take them back into that pain. I take them back into, because we have to go back into that process. Yes. And then, what did you learn? What did you gain, and who are you now? And you have a better value for the process and the transformation. Transformation is a key word for me, because by understanding the word transformation, that we know that we are transformed into a newer version. And the version doesn't stop at this level. There's always another level.
Yes, that's true. So where can people find you if they want to collaborate with you and tell, say, a story and try to get through?
I am actually starting a group, a writer's circle. We're looking to get started by December 1st. So this is a good time to get in touch with me. They can connect with me via Facebook, Jackie, Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips. They can reach out to me there. They can email me at Jackie at drjackiephillips.com.
Right.
They can email me there. Maybe we could also post a link. On there as well, so they can connect with me. Or the lifechangerscenter.com. They can also connect with me right there as well.
So, is there anybody that you are training to take over the helm when you retire? Is there another Dr. Evans Phillips that you are passing the baton over to? Because the work can't stop with you. You got to continue on, because the community is going to keep going and going and going and going. It's like the African culture. They have griots. And griots is a person that collects all of the information from generation to generation to generation to generation and tells the next generation what happens before, but it always has to be another griot to keep on tradition. So who is that person?
So you know what's ironic? Two things. So as I grow as a business, I really getting into I'm a creative. So I will sit here and write and create, and I am a pure creative. And so really getting into a business mindset was a stiff learning curve for me. And so one of the learning curves I'm working on now, or one of the things I am actually, it's coming into my forefront, is succession planning and legacy. And it's amazing that you're saying that, because yes, I've been talking to my mom about, what we need to get in place, but also legacy as a business. And so right now I'm really exploring it. I've decided maybe I could hire my kids. But my kids are in their own
they don't want to do it.
But you know what's so funny though? Last night I got a message from Apple, because I have an Apple phone, about setting a legacy person.
You see, you have to. The universe is pulling for
Lord.
Because what you're doing is very important.
Oh my goodness!
Because you have a lot of people that's walking around like zombies, and they have a lot to say. They have a lot of trauma, and some people have a lot of good energy to give to somebody else. And you would never know unless everybody is brought to the bonfire, so to speak. And each one can teach one. I like the old adage of saying, inspire one to reach one, so each one could teach one. But you will never know if you don't say, closed mouth don't get fed.
But this is so powerful to me because I was leaving home today on my way here, and I was like, I have to do some serious strategic planning. It's like you have this cake, you bake this cake, it's in your oven, and now I'm like, okay, Jacqueline, you really need to figure out strategically. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about, because this is, it's more than just doing things. It's creating impact. And sometimes you do it, you walk the motion. But now this is like, okay. I think it really registers because I do things, but sometimes I do it spirit led. But now it's like, okay, let's think about sustainability. Let's think about expansion, and that's the conversation I think I truly value. And I think that's the Spirit of God telling you now, Jacqueline. Let's get all those wheels together. I value you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm hearing that message. You know what? I receive it.
Yes, it's in the universe. It's in the ether. The ether has ways of telling us what we really think is going on, but we don't really know, and then it reiterates in conversation and other messages out there and signs. Signs and wonders is what we have.
I receive that.
Right. So I have to ask you another question.
Yes.
What came first? Did your journey of self-helping people come first? Your life changes consulting firm come first, or did your soul journey, your religion journey, your faith come first?
My faith came first.
Okay.
One of the things I've always asked God from a very young age is to help me be a blessing to people.
Okay.
I've always asked God that. I personally wanted to be a president of a college. I've been in higher education for over 17 years, and I thought that's where God was taking me. And like Jonah, God said, you know what? It's time you shift. Now, I was comfortable. I was blessed. I had the protection of a nice state job with all the benefits. And what God literally had to do, He literally had to strip me. The first part of that stripping was that I'd just gone through a divorce the year before or 2 years prior to that. So that was one stripping. But I said, you know what? Okay, God, I still have that protection of a job, so I'm still able to sustain. And then that got stripped. And I'm like, Lord, I'm truly naked now. What am I? And then He's trying to tell me that you're going to start this business.
Okay.
And that's when the walking on water started.
It was always in you, but you didn't believe. You asked for it, you prayed for it.
Yes, but I'm not sure how it was going to manifest.
Right, it was manifesting, you just didn't see it.
Oh yes, because let me share a personal story. It's interesting is that I started looking for other jobs. I started looking for VP jobs because I was actually at a mid-level position in higher education. So I said, you know what, my next strategic move is to be a dean of a college, dean of student services. So I started looking for those positions. I had several final interviews, but nothing was clicking.
Wasn't supposed to click.
I had grace now. As an administrator, I actually got a year's notice. How many people get a year's notice? I got a year's notice, but it actually extended to 3 years before I got phased out of my job. And that's where the shift in the building and everything started happening. And then I was waiting on this last job. The contract ended June 30th. And it's like June 26th. They said, you need to go talk to HR to set your unemployment. I'm like, no, Lord, no.
Yes.
No, Lord, no. And so I finally had to say, okay, Jacqueline, you need to take that walk to HR to start the unemployment. I guess there's a paperwork or whatever they have to give you and everything. But the blessing of this, two things happened. So, I'm not married. I have 2 children. And now I'm about to get laid off. When I got to HR, they said, do you know you have $15,000 in whatever it was, accumulated vacation? I was like, what? I said, my God,
That was even more motivation.
that was a blessing.
Yes, yes.
I was like, God, look at how I'm getting a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that existed.
Mm.
I didn't know I had all this time. I don't even know how that happened.
The creator.
Yes, that was God. So that was a nice launching pad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then I wrote this other book. It has a different cover, but I started with my writing my book for teens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I really started, and I went to Carifesta in the Caribbean.
Okay.
I went to the Caribbean. You see, if you look at all of them have different pictures and profiles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I started. This is another one I've done for teens. I've done a couple others which are not here for a couple of other schools as well.
Okay.
So
all your books are available in schools. They're in the curriculum. They're taught.
they're not in the curriculum, but they're on Amazon.
Okay.
But what I've done is that I've been able to work with teens and put their work in there as well.
Mm.
So
That's good. So you work with teens, adults,
yes,
men,
yes,
women,
yes,
everybody.
yes.
You don't turn away anyone.
No,
That's good.
I thought it was just women and girls, but
Yeah, we have to be included too.
I
We need
know.
the blessings too,
I
because God
know.
bless you
I
to put you in
know.
a position
I know.
to help people find out their voices, and we appreciate that. And now you are including men to do the same.
yeah, I mean they've just been coming and coming and coming, and I'm like, I'm here, Lord.
Yeah.
I gotta be obedient.
So what's next for Dr. Jackie?
What's next for me? My recent book is not here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really bad in preparing for this.
Mm-hmm.
I've put together a journal for teens called Soar.
Okay.
And it's a matter of packaging the Courage to Soar, the work I've been doing with teens in the schools. So I work in the Caribbean. I'm actually going there in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a couple of schools as well in the Caribbean. And so what I've decided, a lot of the principals and said that we need something for sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask about a book in the curriculum. So the journal is not only for schools,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also for individuals. But I'm designing that curriculum where I could start training the trainer.
Okay.
And so do a social emotional component that can be done in programs and in schools. So I don't physically have to be there, but at least it's a curriculum that can be given to teachers and instructors and organizations that they could add to their current curriculum.
A model.
Exactly. And they can use, and the journal can really start helping teens really start focusing and journaling and thinking about, the day, being gratitude, the things, discovering a deeper sense of self. So it's really starting for them to really start thinking about other things outside of themselves.
So is it just specifically one island or the entire Caribbean that you
I'm on a global mission.
Okay. That's good.
I'm on a global
So
mission.
is there a specific reason why you choose to work in the Caribbean or?
I am from St. Lucia.
Okay.
So I want to start home first,
Okay.
and then eventually wherever God leads.
Okay.
you
I'm
know.
glad God has led you to here to the States. 'Cause
Yes.
If He didn't lead you here to the States, we wouldn't have had these
Amen.
wonderful books, and you wouldn't have touched all of these beautiful authors and creatives
Yes.
in these books here, and they wouldn't have known that they had a voice. And I am going out on a limb as to say that these individuals
And all of these,
have been writing on their own
Yes.
since they've been
Yes.
since they've
Oh
met
my
you.
goodness.
So that is another great thing.
Oh,
And I recognize a couple
It's
of those
been a
authors.
blessing. I mean, I sit back and I'm like, wow. Even looking at them, a lot of them have just all of them here have just went to a new dimension. They've all have gone to, so writing is healing. Writing is healing, and all of them have exploded.
That's great.
I mean, I see all of them. I connect with a lot. This was more of the cancer, but just looking at all of them now, they've all gone through. There's a story behind each and every one of them.
Everybody has a story.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know where to go to tell their story. So it's individuals such as yourself who has a platform, who reaches for people so they can realize their true potential.
Because what happens is that your story is like it's inside of you and it's suppressed, and once you're able to release it,
It's motivating.
yes,
It's awe-inspiring.
Yes, it's ooh.
And then your book can inspire somebody else to do the exact same thing, because they see you and identify with you, whether they are a female and you are a female author, or they are a man and you are a male author, or you're from the Caribbean and they're a Caribbean author. It's that connection, it's that dynamic that you wouldn't even know that you're inspiring people just from walking, just from going down. So Dr. Jackie is a motivational speaker. She is an individual that prides herself in reaching out to the community and allowing people to be the best version of themselves. I am a bus driver for the city of Hartford, and I wanted to do more in my community, and I wanted to use my story to help motivate people to be the best versions of themselves. I am a writer, so I published a book back in 2018, and I didn't know where to go to have my work being displayed, or try to get sales, or try to be amongst creatives, because I'm from the Bronx and we live in Hartford, Connecticut, and I didn't really know the different circles, and I put on my sales hat. I used to do ADT when I was younger in college, and I would knock on doors, and I wasn't afraid to speak my truth and just talk, you know. So I cold called a lot of people, and Dr. Jackie was one of the individuals that I cold called, and she asked me how did I get her information, and I said, you know, we have mutual friends on Facebook, and she said, where do you get my information? So I told her my story, and by me telling her my story and what my motivation was, what my intentions were, she put me to Dr. Vanjie. Buchanan, Dr. Vangela Buchanan. She has a bookstore, The Writers Inc. in Bloomfield, and I went out to The Writers Inc. in Bloomfield, and I spoke to Dr. Vanjie for about 2 hours. You know,
and the rest is history.
The rest is history. She agreed to display my book out there in The Writers Inc. She had a poetry event called Fire on the Bloom, where I met other creatives. I met Donovan Longmore. I met Easy G. I met a whole bunch of individuals, James Black, and my story compounded from there. It just was a chance encounter to meet you, Dr. Jackie, and I'm telling you that this Creatives Corner started from reaching out to Dr. Jackie, and I had that energy within me, and if I didn't go out and try to cultivate it, it would have stayed dormant within me. So I thank you for being who you are and moving the way you move in our community, because you don't know who you inspire just by walking your path and doing the right things, because people see you and watch you, and they are motivated to be more and do more just because you are doing more and they're in your circle.
Thank you. I value that. A pleasure. Right. And I totally wish you God's blessings. We talk about legacy. You just got to continue building and expanding, and the rest is going to be history.
The rest is history. And we're going to make history and her story too.
Amen. Thank you.
So the floor is yours, Dr. Jackie. Any words of wisdom that you want to tell my audience? Shoot.
It's just to end it, is that your voice matters. And so what trauma does, it stifles our voice. We lose our voice. And so there is writing, there is healing in writing, and there's healing in discovering your voice. So what I do, it's very simple. It sounds a lot, but just help individuals find the power of their voice. And helping them find the power of their voice, they're able to rewrite that narrative.
Right.
You know, and it's a healing process. It's a healing process where I take you through that process. So if you're not sure exactly your purpose, if you're going through pain, through trauma, and you're trying to find that voice. This morning I spoke on my live about suffering in silence. And a lot of men and women suffer in silence. And sometimes you may go to X person and you may start to tell them about some of the pain, they're not the right person.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to go to a qualified therapist who can help you move from point A to point B. Reach out to me at the Life Changer Center. Our phone number is 246-2323-860, 246-2323.
All right. And you can get all your books on
Amazon. Yes.
So just search for Dr. Jackie Evans Phillip.
Yes. So one of the things I have to do, or Jacqueline,
Okay.
because I think when I first started,
You were Jacqueline? And you shortened it to Jackie?
I guess so. So I don't know if that causes a confusion, but I think I'm going to change these to make it
One
yes,
universal thing?
yes, yes, yes. So at least it's an easy find.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. And I thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed this. I totally enjoyed this. Thank you.
And thank you for gracing my platform, and you viewers are in for a treat when you get to listen to this episode. And again, this is Creatives Corner, and my name is James Dale, and I see you on the next one.